Okay. Okay, so we're gonna use I sent you guys in the channel, I sent out yep, this one. The documentation. A lot of it goes through what I'm gonna go through as well, but sometimes it's easier to see it and then reference back to the notes. But I showed there's two other ways that we can do it. I'm gonna show you guys one of the easiest ways to create API documentation. I should grab my links. Let me grab. Well, I can show you the links. Okay, so you have to have the desktop client for Postman for this to work. Otherwise, if you were on the browser, it's going to tell you to download the client anyways. But to do it, to start, you're going to start a new collection. You can try to start from here, but it's going to tell you to pick a collection. So we're just going to start it from here. And we're going to call it the Dogs API. We're going to use the API we built last Friday to start with. So to start, all you have to do is, I've got this one right here. This is the local host the API is running on that we built on last Friday. This is the Dogs API. So there is 2 GET requests, a POST request, and delete. We did not do an update, but I've got another API up and running to show you that. So to
Melissa,
start,
should we have those? Should we have those up and running with the servers, or is it not necessary?
You don't have to. If you want to just walk through it or watch through it with me, if you want to actually do it, you should probably have one up and running. Okay. But if you don't, that's okay. Because it is really, really simple, all things considered. So my first GET request, all you need is the base one. The best way to go about creating your documentation is to go through the flow as if you are a user or a front-end developer. The first thing a front-end developer is going to need is to be able to allow users to log in. So if you have a user's route, you want to do the register and the logins first. I always do a base GET request first. So if I do the send, that's my base GET request. I'm going to come over here and click Save As. Make sure that it goes into my collection for the Dog API. And I'm going to save it. With this, the important part afterwards is to also hit Save Response. The only reason I save it this way first is because when I do this, you have to hit Save as Example. Well, yeah, it opens up another page, but now it's going to show you this in the saved documentation. Then you just hit Save Example, and now it's saved, and that's my current named save, but you can rename that. So we're going to say base URL. And then we'll look at, so the next one in line for this one would be this one, to get the dogs. So we're going to add dogs on here. Oh, wrong one. Dogs, and hit send to make sure that it fetches properly. And you can see that I've got data. So I'm going to hit Save As to rename it. So /dogs. And then save response. And save. The nice thing about these are, that one won't work, is I can close out of all of these, for example. I can come in here, since I have this server up and running, I can click this one and it opens it up and I can hit send and it'll show it to me. Sometimes but it'll save any headers that you put in. So on this one, post 5,000, send, and this one, oops, wrong one. Helps if I get the right screens. This one was in here. So here's a generic one. Where's my server file? There it is. Oh, I need the auth. Oh, right. So I just did the base URL here of the server.get, and it's just saying API is up. So with this one, because it has register, I'm going to do the register path. No, API. API auth. Register. It's going to be a post request. Make sure I get the right. Needs a username and password. Looks like that's all it requires. Let me double check. Oh, it requires more than that. So it requires a full name, last name, email, username, and password. However, I also recommend doing this. Jason. I'm just going to send a username. Testing API. Password. Well, if it's the right word. Testing. And I'm going to post that. And it gave me an error. I actually like to save those to give them an idea of API auth register. That way they know that this one happens to be an error code, and that way they can see what it does. I'll save the example. So say we've done all of our GET requests. We've got just the 3 in here, but you can always add more later. We're going to go into the API documentation and select an existing collection. We're doing the dogs. You can edit this to whatever you want. I'm just going to delete it for now because I don't need any of that right now. And I'm going to hit save. And it creates this nice little link. Here's my documentation right here. It's all right there. It asks for this one. Apparently there was some other stuff in there, but I didn't need that. So I should have cleared that out. That was my fault. But you can see that it responded with hello Lambda students here. Again, I forgot to clear this out, but normally this would just be empty because there's nothing there. Here you can see this is what I put in my body was testing API, the password, and then the error code. So I'm done. All I have to do now is hit publish. I can change the colors as I want. Publish this. And now this link right here, I can share with everybody. So we'll go over here. So someone want to pull that up and see what you guys see? I'll stop sharing for a minute. If someone wants to pull it up and share their screen real quick.
I could share my screen really quick.
Okay.
1 second. So this is
So
what I'm
now,
doing.
yep, and that's exactly what you should be getting. Obviously, like, because I messed up and I didn't clear out my headers first, my body stuff first, there was stuff in there. Normally that would be empty right there, because you didn't need any headers for the base URL or the initial dogs part of it. But you can see exactly what we created. And then when you can send that link directly to your README file, save it right into your README file. And then they know that, hey, right there to register, that this is what an error code looks like. If you don't have the right information, this is what it's going to throw at you. And if I had done one that was the right information, you would be able to see the success that they would get. And you could be done with just this. As long as they have something that they can see, that's all they need. And it really is that simple. 2 other ways. Here, I'll go ahead and share my screen again. So Gabe kind of touched on one of the other ways to do the documentation. This is the base URL to an API that I had built for one of my build weeks. When I give this API to the front end, if they were to put it directly in the browser, this is what they would get. I basically took the Postman documentation and recreated an HTML page with it. And built like a static page like Gabe did in the lesson yesterday. He built that I called it a public folder. He just did an actual Create React app. For this one, it was it this one? I created a public folder. I did my CSS, my index HTML. But you can do it as a React app. I just happened to do it as an HTML document instead. And I just lined everything up and I copy pasted it in because I learned about these nifty little codes right here. If you have pre and then code, it'll show up as code. Otherwise, normally in even in HTML, if you have these curly brackets, it actually hides it. So I learned about those, and I believe I linked that in the API documentation as well. But that's another way to do it. It's a little bit more involved because, as you can see, it's a long HTML document. Let me see. But the README file as well is the other way you can do it. You can take that Postman documentation, and this is how you would lay it out in a README document. And this is what it would look like. I wanted the preview. My preview button. There it is. This is what you would see if you pulled up the README doc right there on GitHub. You would see it in like a table format. If I remember correctly, these are just spaces. Yeah. All this is just spaces. I just spaced everything out to get it to line up nice and neat. But it has all the information, so they know that this is a primary key, not primary, that these items are required, that this one's automatic, this one has to be unique. This one talks to, the foreign key means it talks to another table, which in this case, the user's ID talks to the user's table. And this one, the category ID talks to the category table. But then I have down here all the same information, all nice and neatly laid out. This one probably doesn't take as much time as the HTML way, but as you can see with the Postman one, that one's a lot quicker. And when you do, you can go back to your workspace and you can see all the collections that you have and any of them that have been, that you've gotten links for. Or created links for. And you can always edit them because sometimes they come in. Here's another one that I did. You can see that it's been published. You can also change this from double column to single column. I personally like it double, but you can also change the language. I personally would leave it as this one, but you can change it to other versions. Sometimes some people prefer it in the HTTP way. Some people don't. You can even change it to, I believe, Java. Yep. Which of course is totally confusing to me because I'm a Node backend, but it's there, which is nice. I think there's even C++ or C++, yep. So you can see what it would look like in different versions, which is nice. And I believe, who was it that shared the screen? Was it?
Me.
Okay. Can you change the language in the published version?
One second.
I believe you can. I believe you can change a little bit of the layout in the published versions.
Language. Yeah.
Nice. That's what I thought. I was pretty sure. So that means if you're getting a Node backend from somebody, but you're writing a front end in C++, you can change the way it looks so you know exactly how it's going to come across. Doesn't matter how it was built on the back end, you can change the language, which is really, really nice. I was pretty sure you could. I just wanted to double check because it's hard to tell when you publish it. It automatically works for you.
Right.
These over here are also all links. So if I want to go down to the Get All Users section, I can. Only downside of Postman doing the documentation is it does show this. However, before you publish it, you can delete that. It should show it over here, but for some reason, every once in a while, this one just keeps going back. I think I saved it wrong. But you can edit these. So it doesn't show the token. You can just kind of hide it. You just have to do that before you hit publish. But it is all there and you can see exactly what it does. And like I said, here you can change these. Because like I did this one twice, so there's 2 saved in there. I don't think I have any errors on this one. Yeah, I do have an error. I did a login with no token. To show what the error looks like, because I thought that was an important thing to show people. I wanted to make sure I had that. Does everybody have any questions or anything?
I was just having trouble getting Zoom up earlier, so I was just hopping in to see what y'all were up to.
No good, of course. No, I'm joking.
I mean, if we have time, I wouldn't mind seeing that process one more time, just because, like in the beginning,
Yeah.
I was trying to get my project up and I wasn't able to quite get it up in time, so I skipped that part.
Sure. You want me to start from the very beginning on it?
Yeah, just in terms of like how you went through and you saved it and you put in the certain heading on it and organized it. I guess I missed some of that.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so to go back through, to start, you're going to want to start a new collection. And you can go back over old APIs you've done, that's fine. So we'll call this a test collection or just test. And this time we'll go ahead and pull in this API, a live API. It does not matter if it's a live API or a local host. So this time we'll pull in this one. I'm going to start with a fresh one. So there's no headers, nothing in the body. Double check. Yep. Okay. And we're going to do a GET request. Now this one, like I said, has a static front end. So that it's going to return a bunch of HTML. But I'm going to hit save as. And I'm going to change that to base URL. Because it saves the actual URL that you're doing your request on. I don't need to have it in the name. I'm going to change it to a new collection. Okay, once I have that saved, I want to make sure that I hit save response as example so that it keeps this in the response. And then I just hit save example. And just be sure to close out of this one again. So now I'm going to do API auth register. And I have to remind myself what the password is for this one. I think it was test user. Where's my thing? Pull it up through this. Testing and Lambda, there it is. I want to make sure I don't reuse it. So for this, a post request is the only thing that'll work on a register, which you guys will learn that shortly. JavaScript, oh, not JavaScript, what am I doing? JSON. And the required for the register was username, password, email, name, and location for this one. So username. I could spell, that'd be awesome. What were the other ones? Name, email, and location. Name. Email.
In password, you have an extra O in there.
Oh, thank you. Location. That would have errored out on me. All right, so I'm going to try to post a new user. I'm going to save as. And then I'm not going to save the response here to show you what it shows on the other side. So now I'm going to log in. And I know to log in, I'm going to need my username and password. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the same one I just made. And I'll go ahead and save that one. then we'll go ahead and do need my header. I'll even show you one with a header. Copy. Don't need this anymore. I'm going to do users. And do a get. And a send. Save as users. Save the response again. It's a lot of users. It's on ID number 47. Holy cow. Okay. So now we've got a couple items in our list. Now we're going to create the API or documentation part by selecting a collection. We did this, we'll call this one test. And we'll pull that up. You can see what I just typed in there, the just a test documents is in there, but I can double click in here and edit that if I want to. Okay. All right, so the base URL, it has right here for us where it has the whole thing. The actual URL is all I sent for the request or for part of it. For the request. And then this is what it sent back, and you can expand it to see all of it. I usually just leave that the way it is. The next one was the register. For some reason, this didn't save over here. Come on. Did I not do that right? Register. There it is. Oh, I didn't save the response for that one. That one's why. Because I didn't save a response, it's not letting me change that. But this one I did have a response, so I can see that. And I can see the tokens in there. It created a new user ID. And then here for this one, this was to get all users. You can see the path that it took, the authorization, the header that I put in there. There was nothing raw in it, which would be like this stuff. And that this is what it returned. If I don't want all of this in here, it's not letting me edit today. I think it's because it usually does. No, it's not letting me edit today. It's supposed to let us edit. I think I screwed something up on the other side, but because these are test users, it usually doesn't matter for the documentation side. You can go ahead and leave it like that because they're always test users that you're going to put in there. Just never put a real user. And after you create the documentation, delete those users so that they're not, those tokens aren't valid at all. Is a good way to do that. And then after that, once I'm happy with it, I can publish it. If I don't like the color, I'm going to change the colors to, let's see. Oh, I like that one. That works. There we go. Some obnoxious colors. So now it changed some of the coloring in mostly in here in the head in the text. And there's also the whole run in Postman where you can do that and it'll allow you to run each of those endpoints. But you can do it from the web as well. Was that easier?
Yeah, that was great. I was able to put it all together that second time.
Nice. Nice. Does anybody else have any questions?
Oh, that was good. Thank you.
That token thing, like, I thought you said something about you could hide it if you want, if you don't want it on the documentation. I might have misheard you though. You're saying you should just leave the token up there and then
You can.
delete that. Okay.
If I remember correctly, it's actually when you're saving that example, that's when you actually take the token out. And I forgot I had to do that. So
Or you
once
could
I
just
saved
like set it to some random like other number that wouldn't be a token, like an
Yep.
example. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Or like I said, after you create the documentation, delete that user.
Right.
Now when it's here in build weeks, not here, but you know what I mean, in build weeks, sometimes you want to keep that user, or just put in the README documentation, you know, what the actual user is, or, you know, in the Slack channel for that. But, you know, you can always just delete the user. If it's something that's going to go out literally to the public, then you might want to just delete that user afterwards. But it's actually when you go to save the example that you have to remove the token. And I keep forgetting to do that. That's my fault. I apologize.
Oh no. Good.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Melissa. That was awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Does anybody
Yeah.
else have any questions?
No, I was just gonna say thank you. I came in late, so
Oh, no problem. Did you
Yeah.
see enough of it the second time?
yeah. I mean, it's all just practice, repetition. I'm still kind of fried. I've had a long week.
It has been a very long week, yes. Okay, no problem. Like I said, I sent you guys that documentation that goes through the same steps. I tried to put some pictures in there as well to help if anybody wasn't able to come to the actual workshop. So let me know if you guys have any questions. All right. You guys have a good weekend then.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.